have three rookies to keep your eye on here tonight. Driving that number 6 Chevrolet is 18-year-old Rajah Caruth from Washington, D.C.
Hello and welcome to another edition of In the Wall. I'm Parker Kligerman, and on this show, we like to talk to people from the motorsports world, the esports world, but today we have someone who's in both. None other than 18-year-old Rajah Caruth, who's a rising star in the NASCAR ranks. Rajah, you just did your first ARCA Menards East Series event. How did that go?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on, Parker. And I wish that our ARCA Menards Series East debut would have went a little bit better, but I mean, we didn't tear that much stuff up really, so it was still can massage on her and get her ready for Pensacola next week.
That's always key, right? Taking care of the equipment. So I alluded to it there in the intro a little bit, but Landon Castle and I were actually doing a clubhouse the other night, and we talked about you because a lot of people view iRacing as drivers trying to hone their skills, which you did, right, to become a better race car driver or at least get into racing. But one of the things you did that we think is going to become very popular in the coming years is you built a following, a social media following. You have fans from the iRacing world that are following you in the real racing world. Was that by plan, or did that just sort of happen by accident?
I mean, it was kind of both. You know, I got on iRacing in 2018, and then really just before that, I had done like YouTube stuff before with like stop motions and, you know, that type of stuff and trying to build a following. And it kind of was by design, but, you know, I didn't think it would be that much of a help and it would grow to kind of where the point it is now, to where it's really helped me be in position to take advantage of opportunities that have, you know, been there.
Definitely. Have you, I'm curious, just, you know, as you got more popular in iRacing, is there people you met on there, maybe other race car drivers, other influential people in the motorsports world that maybe provided connections or advice, you know, to break into the real racing world?
That's a good question. I mean, at first, not really, but there's been like kind of talking to you, talking to Landon and Vargas and people that have those real life connections has been helpful just because I've been able to kind of put a name with a face and just be able to market myself. And, you know, pre-COVID stuff, you know, I would go to big NASCAR weekends with business cars and, you know, go around the garages and try to introduce myself to people that I think could be helpful. And just probably you three, and there's been other people that have been really helpful to me as well.
You're taking the Carl Edwards approach with the business cards. I like it. You're in the virtual world and the physical world, the business cards. Now, you did make the transition into real racing, which is something that we all want to see from iRacers out there, getting that opportunity to jump into real cars. It's your third year in the Drive for Diversity program with Rev Racing. How was that transition? Was it weird at first? Was it really seamless? Talk to me about that. I'm so curious about how you go from driving what you feel like you're seeing on the computer to actually driving a physical race car in the real world.
Yeah, it was not seamless, like pretty far from that. And I learned a lot about racing on here, in terms of kind of the mentality you have to have and the mindset and the focus you need to have. But, you know, when I got in a Legends car for the first time at the shootout, it was like, it was kind of different. Like some of that stuff came natural, but a lot of it I had to learn, like, you know, trial by fire and go through bad stuff to understand it. And that transition was hard, like you said, to go off of from trying to get stuff from visual and from auditory stuff to feeling it through my body and going through a different set of senses. And it only gets better with seat time, and so it's continuously getting better. Like the more I think about it, I mean, I've probably had a little bit less or around 50 total like oval asphalt races in real life, so it's kind of weird to think about it like that, whereas on the sim I've got like 1,500. So it's definitely seat time is a big deal. But to directly answer your question, the transition was not seamless, but it's just gotten better with time.
I hear you, man. I can relate to that. When I sat in the pole for my first Xfinity start back in 2009, I think I had 50 races in my whole life, but I'd done thousands of hours, you know, on iRacing, and Kyle Busch was beside me. He had done like 60 races that year. So it's definitely a difficult transition. You know, on top of that, you're also juggling school. You're going to college. How does that work? I mean, you got iRacing, you got school, you got racing real life, Rev Racing. You got to have a busy schedule.
Definitely have a busy schedule. You know, going to school online at Winston-Salem State, it's easy, or it's not really easy at all, but it's better to have it, you know, some classes asynchronous to where I can do stuff at my own pace, and having it all be virtual is really helpful. just because, for example, for Daytona, we were at New Smyrna and then we just stayed the whole week for Nick's race on Saturday. And, I could just do classes on Zoom in the hotel and, that would be fine. And that's going to be good to do in the summer stretch where Nick will be gone for weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend. And hopefully I will be traveling with them, going to like DuQuoin and Iowa and stuff like that. And it's hard to balance it, but, it's just time management at the end of the day.
I hear you. So first season in the ARCA Menards Series, what are you hoping to accomplish this season? What would make you happy at the end of the year?
I mean, at the end of the year, I hope to be someone in the championship, contention. And I think, with the quality of stuff that we have, that's definitely possible. And to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised with how New Smyrna went, considering my first time in the ARCA car was in practice, and we were like third in practice for a little while before our mock runs. And really, that was a surprise, and I'm excited to go to places like Pensacola and Milwaukee and them older places where, I learned a lot last year by going to Myrtle Beach and going to Florence, how important it is to save tires. And I'm excited to go to them old places. And I want to run good this year. And, and on top of that, Mark Green and I have our set of goals, which are to run all the laps and be there at the end of the race. And, if we do that, then, there's no telling what we can do by the end of the year, come Bristol.
It's really smart, really great plan. I got to ask, though, as you look ahead, you're 18 years old right now. You're just getting in the stock car realm. Where do you see Rajah Caruth in 5 years? What's your goals in the racing world? Where do you want to be? What do you want to get to?
Let's see, 5 years, that's 26. So, I already graduated college. I would hope to be, in a line to be in a cup car one day. At that point, I've seen, drivers like, Dylan Kwasniewski kind of go up really, really fast and then kind of be dead in the water at some points. And, I really just want to make sure that I get, my experience and earn my way up, and do it the right way. And so, hopefully at that time, 5 years down the line, if I'm, in a truck or an Xfinity car and hopefully in line to be in a cup car, it's in the right situation. And hopefully that at that point, I'll have a good amount of, I guess, stats to go with that and along with partners and hopefully to just at the end of the day be in line to be in a competitive cup car.
Right. And, one of the things that I wish I did better in my career was I asked for advice. So I got a young driver coming up. You've come from this iRacing side to the physical world. Is there drivers out there that you view like maybe a William Byron and saying, how did he do it? Or is there other drivers out there right now that you'd say, man, I'd love to get the chance to pick their brain, ask them, and who would that be?
That's a good question because it's like now I've kind of been able to differentiate the sim stuff from the real stuff and really understand how kind of both of them work. But probably, Hamlin's the one person I would like to have a good combo with, him doing late model stuff in the Virginias and Carolinas and seeing, how his career went and his trajectory. I feel like that would be a helpful connection to have. But I think, the two guys that I've got in my corner, Mark Green, Bubba Wallace have been really helpful to me to just steering me on the right track and answering my questions and sometimes knowing what I'm going to ask before I ask it. And those two guys have been a big help so far. And yeah.
You mentioned Bubba Wallace, the Drive for Diversity program has been so successful. He's a graduate of it. What has this program meant to you and being a part of it?
It's been, an honor to be a part of the program. Like I've known about it for like almost 10 years and, seeing Suarez come through it, Sergio Pena, Bubba, and Kyle Larson, it's an honor really to be in this position and to be, like you said, going in my third year here and being at the shop every day and seeing the banners up on the walls. At first it was like, that's pretty cool. And now it's not normal, but it's just really motivating. And so it's really trying to focus on taking advantage of the opportunity that's there.
Gotcha. Well, all right. Next race for you, Five Flag Speedway, ARCA Menards East Series. I'm sure you're practicing iRacing. What are you hoping to get out of that race?
I just, want to, be there at the end of the race. I feel like, especially with going to an older place like that and Chase and Glenn, at Rev here last year were really good there in the fall and unfortunately had, tire issues. But I think, we were bounds better than, we were last year at Pensacola or at New Smyrna. So if we're better than we were at Pensacola last year, then I feel like we could, give the 17 of them guys a run for their money. So But really just want to be there at the end of the race and be competitive. And I feel like if we do those things, like, our goals that Mark and I have set out, then we'll be there at the end and it'll be fun to watch.
Got it. Well, for everyone viewing here, if you want to watch Rajah race in that race at Five Flags Speedway, get on NBCSports.com/track pass. You can watch it live on there. Thanks for joining us, Rajah. Good luck.
Thank you, Parker.
Hey, Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.